The stars looked peaceful that morning. In the great halls of the Galactic Council, beings from different worlds sat together as they had for 3,000 years. The Zentari floated in their crystal chairs, their bodies glowing with soft blue light. The Vorthok drifted in their gas-filled chambers, speaking in musical tones that made the walls hum. The Cathrak clicked their mandibles in the ancient greeting that meant peace between all species. Representative. Zethkar of the Zentari Council looked at the daily reports with tired eyes. Another trade dispute between the mining worlds. A request. For more medical supplies for the outer colonies. Nothing unusual. Nothing that would disturb the careful balance they had built over the centuries. The galaxy was a quiet place. Wars belonged to ancient history. The worst crime most worlds saw was someone taking more than their share of resources. The Council had systems for everything. Peaceful systems. Civilized systems. Zethkar's assistant, a young Zentari named Pelanin, brought him the morning communications. Most were routine, colony reports, scientific discoveries, resource allocation requests. Then Pelanin hesitated. Sir, there is one transmission that seems unusual. Unusual how? Zethkar asked, not looking up from his work. It comes from Research Station Omega-7. They are studying that new system in the Outer Rim. The one with the blue-green world. Zethkar finally looked up. The one they call Earth. Yes, sir. Humans' homeworld. But the transmission is... disturbing. The representative took the communication device and activated it. Static filled the air. Then a voice spoke in the universal. Translator. It was Dr. Velmer, the Zentari scientist who led the research team. This is Research Station Omega-7. We need immediate assistance. The humans... They are not what we expected. When the attack came, when the pirates boarded our station, we thought we would all die. But the human did things we cannot understand. The transmission cut to static. Then another voice spoke. This one was shaking with fear. The pirates had weapons. Energy weapons that could stop any of us with one shot. But the human kept moving. Even when hit, he kept moving. He moved through our corridors like ... like a predator. Now we have never seen anything like it. Zethkar frowned. The research station had been studying Earth for 6 months. They had one human aboard, Dr. Alex Kane, a xenobiologist who studied alien life. The Council had also sent Lieutenant Sam Murphy as a cultural liaison. Both humans had seemed pleasant enough. Small creatures. Really. They barely reached the shoulder of most Centauri. The transmission continued with Dr. Velmer's voice returning. We must report what we have learned. Humans come from a world unlike anything in our records. They call it a death world, but we thought this was just their strange humor. We were wrong. Everything about their planet tries to kill them. Gravity, the weather, the other creatures, even the water they drink would poison most of us. Zethkar felt a chill in his crystalline body. He had read the initial reports about Earth. The planet did seem harsh by galactic standards, but the humans had seemed so... normal. The human Lieutenant Murphy fought the pirates with his bare hands when his weapon was damaged. He used broken metal from the walls as weapons. He seemed to enjoy the fight. The pirates fled. Pirates, sir. They fled from one small human. The transmission grew weaker, filled with more static. We need to understand what we are dealing with. The human Dr. Kane tried to explain their world to us. He spoke of creatures on Earth that hunt other creatures just to survive. He spoke of natural disasters that destroy entire cities. He spoke of diseases that kill millions. He spoke of it all as if it were normal. Pelanin looked at his supervisor with wide eyes. Sir, should we send a rescue ship? Zethkar was quiet for a long moment. In 3,000 years of peace, the Council had never dealt with anything like this. Pirates occasionally bothered the outer colonies, but they were usually just desperate beings looking for resources. They never attacked research stations, never attacked anyone who might fight back. Sir, Pelanin asked again. Send a diplomatic vessel, Zethkar decided. The Harmony's light. Tell Commander Thymos to approach with caution, and ... And perhaps we should contact the human authorities. Let them know what has happened. The transmission from the research station had one final message. Dr. Velmer's voice was barely a whisper. They don't stop. When hurt, they become more dangerous. When afraid, they attack. When threatened, they become something else. What kind of world creates such creatures? What kind of evolution builds beings who thrive on conflict? The communication ended in static. Zethkar stared at the device for a long time. The Zentari had evolved on a world of crystal caves and gentle rains. The Vorthok came from gas giants, where the worst danger was floating into the wrong atmospheric layer. The Cathira had built their civilization in vast, underground cities where the greatest threat was running out of nutrients. None of them had evolved to fight. None of them had evolved to survive conflict. The galaxy had been peaceful for so long that most species had forgotten what real violence looked like. Sir Palanin said quietly, "The human governments have responded to our message. They are sending a ship called the Defender. It will arrive in 3 days." The Defender, Zethkar repeated. Even the name sounded aggressive. What kind of ship is it? Palanin checked his records. According to their transmission, it is a military vessel under the command of Admiral Lisa Hayes. They say it is their fastest ship, military vessel. Zethkar had to think about what that meant. Council had security ships, but they were designed to help with accidents and natural disasters. They had never needed ships designed for war. Over the next 3 days, more reports came in from the Outer Rim. Pirates had been attacking merchant vessels and small colonies for months. But now, something was different. The attacks were stopping, not because the pirates had been caught or reformed, but because they were disappearing. The few pirate ships that had been found were empty, drifting in space. No signs of battle damage, no signs of struggle, just empty ships with their crews gone. When the Defender arrived at the research station, it was unlike anything the Council had ever seen, where their ships were smooth and curved, designed for comfort and efficiency. The human ship was angular and scarred. It looked like it had been built for war and had seen plenty of it. The final transmission from research, Station Omega-7, came just as the Defender arrived. Dr. Velmer's voice was calm now, but filled with something that might have been awe. The humans have arrived. Lieutenant Murphy says the station is secure. Dr. Kane is helping us understand what happened. The pirates. They were not prepared for humans. None of us were prepared for humans. There was a pause, then Dr. Velmer continued. I have spent my life studying different species. I thought I understood the diversity of life in the galaxy, but humans ... Humans are something new, something we have never encountered. They are not just another species. They are survivors. They are ... They are apex predators who learn to build starships. The transmission ended, and Zethkar knew that everything was about to change. The galaxy had been peaceful for 3,000 years. But peace, he was beginning to understand, was only possible because nothing had ever threatened it. Now the humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Lisa Hayes stood on the bridge of the Defender, watching the alien ship approach through the viewing screen. The vessel called Harmony's Light was beautiful in a way that human ships never were. It flowed like liquid metal with curves that seemed to bend light around them. No sharp edges, no visible weapons. It looked more like a work of art than a starship. It's 3 times the size of our ship, reported Lieutenant Commander Ryan Torres from his position at the sensor station. But the hull is thin, very thin. Not sure it could survive a meteor impact. Maybe they don't have meteors where they come from, Admiral Hayes replied. She had been briefing herself on what little they knew about the Galactic Council. 3,000 years of peace. Multiple species working together. No wars, no conflict. It sounded like paradise, but it also sounded impossible. The communication system crackled to life. The voice that came through the universal translator was musical, almost like singing. Human vessel Defender. This is Commander Veltar, of the Harmony's Light. We request permission to establish diplomatic contact according to First Contact Protocol 7. Hayes looked at Torres, who shrugged. They had no idea what First Contact Protocol 7 was. Harmony's Light, this is Admiral Hayes. We accept your request for contact. How do you want to proceed? There was a pause, then the musical voice returned. We will prepare a reception chamber aboard our vessel. Please bring no more than 5 representatives. So we assure you that all safety protocols will be followed. Hayes chose her team carefully. Captain Elena Rodriguez would lead the diplomatic party. She was calm under pressure and had experience with delicate negotiations. Dr. Patricia Wells, their anthropologist, would observe and try to understand the alien culture. Commander Jake Morrison would handle security. Dr. Kevin Park, their xenobiologist, would study the aliens themselves, and Hayes would go as the ranking officer. The airlock between the 2 ships sealed with a soft hiss. The moment Hayes stepped aboard the Harmony's Light, she knew they were in a different world. The corridors were wide and filled with soft, changing light. The air smelled like flowers. Music played softly from hidden speakers. Everything was designed to calm and soothe. Commander Veltar waited for them in what he called the reception chamber. He was tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to be made of living crystal. His movements were slow and careful, like a dancer performing for an audience. "Welcome, humans," he said, his voice like wind chimes. "We are honored by your presence. Please, make yourselves comfortable." The chamber was filled with cushions and soft chairs that seemed to mold themselves to whoever sat in them. The walls showed images of peaceful worlds covered in strange, beautiful plants. The lighting was warm and gentle. Hayes tried to relax, but her training made her scan the room for threats. Rodriguez did the same. Morrison's hand stayed close to his weapon. Dr. Wells took notes on everything she saw. Dr. Park studied Commander Veltar with scientific curiosity. "You seem ... tense," Commander Veltar observed.
"Oh.
"Are you uncomfortable?" "We can adjust the temperature, the lighting, the atmospheric composition." "We're fine," Hayes assured him. "This is just how we are." Commander Veltar's crystal features showed confusion. "How you are? I do not understand." Dr. Wells leaned forward. "Commander, can you tell us about your world?" "Your species?" Of course, Veltar's expression brightened. "We Zantari evolved in the crystal caves of Lumina Prime. Our world is peaceful. The caves protect us from the gentle storms that bring us nutrients. We have never known conflict or violence. Our greatest challenges are philosophical debates about art and science." "No predators?" Dr. Park asked. "Predators." Veltar looked puzzled. "I am unfamiliar with this term." Dr. Park glanced at Hayes, who nodded. "Predators are creatures that hunt and kill other creatures for food. The crystal beings glowed, dimmed with shock. That is horrible. What kind of world would create such things?" "Our world," Rodriguez said simply. "Earth is full of predators. We humans were prey for most of our evolution. We learned to hunt to survive." Commander Veltar moved backward, his graceful movements becoming jerky with fear. "You were prey? You hunt other creatures?" "We had to," Dr. Wells explained. "Our world is not gentle like yours. We have storms that can destroy entire cities. We have earthquakes that split the ground open. We have diseases that kill millions. We have predators that hunt us for food. But ... How do you live with such terror?" Veltar asked. Hayes realized. They were frightening their host. She tried to explain gently. "We don't see it as terror. We see it as normal. We adapt. We overcome. We survive." "The report from the research station," Veltar said suddenly. "Lieutenant Murphy fought the pirates. He was injured but continued fighting. Is this normal for humans?" "Yes," Morrison answered. "When threatened, we fight. When hurt, we fight harder. It's how we survived on Earth." Commander Veltar's crystal body began to dim and brighten rapidly, like a warning light. The pirates used energy weapons. They should have incapacitated him immediately. "Human bodies are tough," Dr. Park explained. "We evolved to keep functioning even when damaged. Our ancestors had to keep running even when injured, or they would die." "Running from what?" Veltar asked, though he seemed afraid of the answer. "Everything," Hayes said. "Large predators with claws and teeth. Smaller predators with poison. Other humans who wanted our resources. Natural disasters, disease, starvation, cold, heat. Our planet tried to kill us in every way possible. The alien commander was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. "What is your population? About 12 billion on Earth," Rodriguez replied. "With colonies on 47 worlds and growing." Commander Veltar's crystal body went completely dim. 12 billion, and you said you fight when threatened. All of you. All of us, Hayes confirmed. It's built into our nature. We can't change it. The pirates, Veltar said slowly, they have terrorized the outer colonies for decades. They attack defenseless merchant ships and research stations. They take what they want and leave. No one can stop them. Why not? Morrison asked. Because, ... because we are not warriors. We are not fighters. We are civilized beings who solve problems through discussion and compromise. And the pirates don't want to discuss or compromise, Dr. Wells observed. No, they only understand force. But we have never learned to use force. Hayes began to understand the situation. Commander, has your species ever fought a war? War? Veltar seemed confused by the concept. You mean organized violence between groups? No, why would anyone do such? A thing because sometimes talking doesn't work, Morrison said. Sometimes the only way to stop bad people is to fight them. But violence is wrong, Veltar protested. It brings only suffering. Sometimes Hayes agreed. But sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's the only way to protect good people from bad people. Commander Veltar was quiet again. Then he asked the question that would change everything. Will you help us? Help you how? Hayes asked. The pirates? They're getting bolder. They attack more frequently. They demand more tribute. Our security forces cannot stop them.
Oh, but you...
You stopped them at the research station? Hayes looked at her team. They all understood what was being asked. These peaceful beings wanted humans to do what they could not do themselves. They wanted humans to fight. We'll need to contact our government, Hayes said finally. This is a big decision. Of course, Veltar agreed. But please, ... consider it. We've maintained peace for 3,000 years. But peace means nothing if we cannot protect it. As the human team prepared to return to their ship, Commander Veltar spoke one final time. I have a question about your world. You said everything tries to kill you. How do you find happiness in such a place? Dr. Wells smiled. Because we're still alive? Every day we survive is a victory. Every challenge we overcome makes us stronger. We find joy in the struggle itself. Commander Veltar watched them leave, his crystal form glowing with something that might have been hope. For the first time in 3,000 years, the galaxy might have protectors who understood that sometimes peace could only be maintained through strength. The Galactic Council chamber had never seen anything like it. For 3,000 years. Representatives from dozens of species had gathered in the Great Dome on Serenity Prime to discuss trade, science, and philosophy. Today they were learning. About horror, Dr. Kevin Parks stood at the center of the chamber, a small human surrounded by beings that towered over him. The Zentari floated in their crystal chairs, their bodies dim with fear. The Vorthok had retreated deeper into their gas chambers. The Cathora clicked their mandibles nervously. According to our classification system, Dr. Park began, his voice calm and steady. Earth is a Class 12 death world. Council leader Thymus, an ancient Zentari whose crystal body had seen 3 millennia of peace, spoke first. Dr. Park, our records show no classification above Class 8. What does Class 12 mean? It means your classification system wasn't designed for worlds like ours, Dr. Park replied. We had to create new categories. He activated a holographic display that showed Earth floating in space. The blue and green planet looked peaceful enough, but the data scrolling beside it made the alien representatives gasp. Surface gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared, Dr. Park continued. That's 3 times what most of your species consider normal. The atmospheric pressure at sea level would crush the respiratory systems of 80% of known species. Representative Quindle of the Zentari Council leaned forward. How do you function in such conditions? We evolved in them, Dr. Park said simply. Our bones are dense. Our muscles are strong. Our hearts pump blood through our bodies at pressures that would kill most beings in this room. The hologram shifted. To show Earth's weather patterns, massive storms swirled across the surface. Lightning flashed in towering clouds. The aliens watched in silence as the display showed hurricanes, tornadoes, and blizzards. Your world has aggressive weather, observed Speaker Morden. The species came from a world where the worst weather was a gentle breeze. That's just the beginning, Dr. Park said. He changed the display to show earthquakes splitting the ground, volcanoes erupting, and tsunamis washing over coastlines. Our planet is geologically active. The ground moves, mountains explode, the ocean rises up and destroys our cities. But surely you have safe places, Quindel protested. Shelters. Underground cities. We do now, Dr. Park agreed. But for most of our evolution, we lived on the surface. We learned to survive in the open. The display changed again, showing Earth's wildlife. A lion stalked through tall grass. A shark glided through dark water. A bear stood on its hind legs, towering over the landscape. These are some of our predators, Dr. Park explained. The large one with the mane is called a lion. It hunts in groups and can run faster than most. Beings can think. The one in the water is a shark. It has been hunting in our oceans for 400 million years. The furry one is a bear. It weighs 300 kilograms and can run 50 kilometers per hour. Kithra representative, whose species had never seen a predator larger than their own hand, made a sound like breaking glass. And humans lived alongside these creatures? We didn't just live alongside them, Dr. Park said. We competed with them. We hunted them. Sometimes they hunted us. We learned to make tools and weapons to survive. He showed them images of early humans making spears, building fires, working together to hunt massive creatures that dwarfed them. The aliens watched with the same horrified fascination they might show watching their own extinction. Did these are ancient images, Thyma said hopefully. Surely your species has moved beyond such primitive behavior. Dr. Park smiled, but it wasn't a comforting expression. We've moved beyond the need for it in daily life, but the instincts are still there. When threatened, we revert to our ancestors' behavior. Like Lieutenant Murphy at the research station, Quindel said quietly. Exactly like Lieutenant Murphy, Dr. Park confirmed. When the pirates attacked, his training took over. But underneath, that training were millions of years of evolution that taught him to fight or die. The council chamber fell silent. Finally, Speaker Morden asked the question they all wanted answered. How many humans are there? 12 billion on Earth, Dr. Park replied. Another 2 billion on our colony worlds, and we're expanding. The number hit the chamber like a physical blow. Most alien species numbered in the hundreds of millions. Few reached a billion. 12 billion apex predators from a death world was beyond their comprehension. And they're all like Lieutenant Murphy? Asked Representative Zethkar, his voice barely above a whisper. All of them, Dr. Park confirmed. Some are stronger, some are faster, some are smarter, but all of them have the same basic programming. When threatened, they fight. When hurt, they fight harder. When protecting others, they become something you don't want to face. Dr. Jennifer Cole, the human biologist, joined Dr. Park at the center of the chamber. We should also discuss human social behavior, she said. We form strong bonds with our groups. We call them families, tribes, nations. When someone threatens a human's group, they don't just fight. They fight with a fury that most species can't understand. The pirates learned this, Dr. Park added. They thought they were attacking a research station with some weak aliens and one small human. What they actually did was threaten Dr. Alex Kane, Lieutenant Murphy's friend and colleague. They also threatened the alien researchers under Lieutenant Murphy's protection. Protection? Quindel asked. Humans have a concept called duty, Dr. Cole explained. Lieutenant Murphy was assigned to protect that research station. In his mind, every being on that station was under his care. The pirates didn't just attack strangers. They attacked his responsibility, his honor. The aliens exchanged glances. Honor was a concept they understood intellectually, but they had never seen it expressed through violence. "We need to understand something," Thymos said slowly. "You say humans fight when threatened. But what do you consider a threat?" Dr. Park and Dr. Cole looked at each other. Finally, Dr. Park answered, "Anything that might harm us, or the people we care about. Anything that tries to take what we need to survive. Anything that challenges our position in the social hierarchy. Anything that insults our dignity or our beliefs." "That covers almost everything," Morden observed. "Yes, Doctor." Cole agreed. "We're aware of that. It's why we've spent so much effort learning to control our instincts. We've built societies based on law and cooperation. But when those systems fail, when talking doesn't work, when compromise isn't possible, we fall back on what evolution taught us." Representative Zethkar asked the question that would determine the galaxy's future. "Are humans aggressive by nature?" "Yes," Dr. Park said without hesitation. "But we're also protective. We fight threats, but we also defend the innocent. We can be violent, but we can also be gentle. We can destroy, but we can also create. The same instincts that make us dangerous also make us loyal friends and fierce protectors." The chamber was quiet for a long moment. Then Thymos spoke. "The pirate attacks have increased in the past year. They grow bolder. They demand more tribute. Our security forces cannot stop them because we are not warriors. We are not fighters. We are civilized beings who have forgotten how to be savage." "But you haven't forgotten," Quindel said to the humans. "You'll remember how to be savage when you need to be." "We remember," Dr. Cole confirmed. "And we're willing to help you. You need to understand what you're asking. You're asking us to be what we were on Earth. You're asking us to be predators. We're asking you to be protectors," Thymos corrected. "We're asking you to do what we cannot do. We're asking you to fight so that we can remain peaceful." Dr. Park looked around the chamber at the frightened but hopeful faces. "We'll need to discuss this with our government. But I think I can speak for humanity when I say that we understand the responsibility you're offering us." "And you would accept it?" Morden asked. "We've been looking for our place in the galaxy," Dr. Park replied. "Maybe this is it. Maybe we're meant to be your guardians. Maybe that's why evolution made us the way we are." The session ended with the aliens knowing that their galaxy was about to change forever. They had found their protectors, but those protectors came from a world of nightmares, carrying instincts forged in violence and hardened by millennia of struggle. The Deathworlders had revealed themselves, and the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the human patrol vessel Retribution, watching the distress signal flash on his screen. 3 days had passed since the Galactic Council had officially requested human assistance with their pirate problem. The response from Earth had been swift and clear. "Protect the innocent." "Captain," called Lieutenant Sarah Johnson from the communications station. "We're receiving a distress call from a Kethera colony ship. They're under attack by Shadow Claw Syndicate vessels." Morrison moved to the tactical display. The Kethera ship was large but slow, carrying thousands of insectoid refugees from a mining disaster on their homeworld. Surrounding it were 20 smaller vessels, all bearing the distinctive markings of the galaxy's most feared pirate organization. "How many ships?" Morrison asked. 20 confirmed hostiles, reported Chief Engineer Mike Taylor from his station. "The colony ship has no weapons and minimal shielding. They're sitting ducks." Morrison studied the display. 20-1 odds. Any sane military commander would call for reinforcements or attempt to negotiate, but Jake Morrison had grown up on Earth, where sanity was often a luxury humans couldn't afford. "All hands battle stations," he announced over the ship's communication system, "were going in." The Retribution was not like the elegant vessels of the Galactic Council. It was an angular, scarred ship built for one purpose: war. Its hull was thick armor plating designed to withstand the meteor storms around Earth. Its weapons were powerful enough to crack asteroids. Its crew had trained in combat simulations that would give most aliens nightmares. "Sir Lieutenant Johnson," said hesitantly, "shouldn't we contact the Council? Request backup?" Morrison looked at her with the patient expression of a teacher explaining something obvious. "Sarah, By the time backup arrives, those refugees will be dead or enslaved. We're here now. We're going to end this now. The pirate leader, a massive alien called Vector, had been terrorizing the outer colonies for 15 years. His Shadowclaw syndicate controlled vast territories through fear and violence. They took what they wanted and killed anyone who resisted. The peaceful council species had learned to pay tribute rather than fight. Kithra vessel, Vector S's voice boomed across the communication channels. You will surrender your cargo and 50% of your population as slaves. You have 10 minutes to comply. The Kithora captain, a being named Chiktal, responded with the desperate courage of someone with nothing left to lose. We cannot comply. These are refugees. They have nothing to give. Then you will all die. Vector replied with casual cruelty. Beginning now. The pirate ships opened fire on the colony vessel. Energy beams lanced through space, striking the Kithra ship's weak shields. The massive vessel shuddered under the assault, its hull beginning to crack. That was when the retribution arrived. Morrison's ship dropped out of hyperspace directly between the pirates and their target. The human vessel was tiny compared to the colony ship, but it moved with deadly purpose. This is Captain Morrison of the human ship Retribution, he announced on all frequencies. You will cease your attack immediately and withdraw from this system. Vector's laughter echoed across the communication channels. One small ship against my entire fleet? You must be insane. We're not insane, Morrison replied calmly. We're human. There's a difference. The pirate leader had never heard of humans. Before, like most criminals, he lived in the shadows of the galaxy, far from the Council's diplomatic meetings and scientific discoveries. To him, humans were just another weak species, ripe for exploitation. Destroy the small ship, Vector ordered, his fleet, and finish the colony vessel. 20 pirate ships turned their weapons on the Retribution. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes filled the space around the human vessel. Any other ship would have been destroyed in seconds. But the Retribution was built by beings who had learned to survive in hell. Its shields held. Its armor absorbed the impacts. Its crew worked with the smooth efficiency of predators who had found their prey. Return fire, Morrison ordered. The human ship's weapons were different from anything the pirates had seen. Where alien weapons were designed to disable and capture, human weapons were designed to destroy. The Retribution's main guns fired concentrated, energy beams that could punch through a ship's hull in one shot. The first pirate vessel exploded in a ball of flame. The second lost its engines and drifted helplessly. The third tried to flee, but the Retribution was faster. Impossible, Vector whispered, watching his fleet die around him. No single ship can do this. But Morrison was not fighting like a single ship. He was fighting like a human who had been trained by other humans, who had learned from thousands of years of warfare. The Retribution moved through the pirate fleet like a shark through a school of fish. Lieutenant Johnson coordinated the attack with cold precision. Target their engines first. Disable their ability to flee, then destroy their weapon systems. Chief Engineer Taylor rerouted power to the weapons with the skill of someone who had spent years keeping complex systems running under impossible conditions. Weapons at full power, Captain. We can maintain this rate of fire for another hour. Pirates began to panic. They'd never faced an enemy that fought to destroy rather than capture. They had never encountered weapons designed to kill rather than disable. They had never met beings who seemed to enjoy battle. They're not like the others, one pirate captain screamed over the communication channels. They're not trying to capture us. They're trying to kill us. Because that's what you deserve, Morrison replied, his voice carrying the cold fury of a predator protecting its territory. You prey on the innocent. You terrorize the weak. You take what isn't yours. On Earth, we call that behavior unacceptable. Duh. Retribution continued its deadly dance through the pirate fleet. Each movement was calculated. Each shot was precise. Each decision was made with the ruthless efficiency of a species that had learned to survive by eliminating threats. Vector, watching his empire crumble around him, made a desperate decision. All remaining ships rammed the human vessel. If we can't defeat them, we'll take them with us. 5 pirate ships changed course, heading directly for the Retribution. It was a suicide attack. But it was the only way Victor could think to stop the human ship. Morrison watched the approaching vessels with the calm expression of someone who had faced death many times before. "Mike, can you give me more power?" "To the forward shields." "Already done, Captain," Taylor replied. "We're ready for impact." But Morrison had no intention of letting the pirates ram his ship. The Retribution suddenly accelerated, using the pirates' own momentum against them. The human ship slipped between the attacking vessels at the last second, causing them to collide with each other in a devastating explosion. The remaining pirates, seeing their leader's final gambit fail, began to surrender. But Morrison was not. Interested in prisoners? These beings had spent years terrorizing innocent people. They had shown no mercy to their victims. "This is your only warning," Morrison announced to the surviving pirate ships. "Leave this system immediately. Never return. If we find you attacking innocent people again, we will hunt you down and destroy you." The pirates fled, leaving behind the wreckage of their fleet and the shattered remains of their reputation. Word would spread quickly through the criminal networks. Humans were not like other species. They were not to be threatened or challenged. Vector, in his final transmission, before his ship exploded, spoke the words that would echo through the galaxy's underworld. "They're not prey. They're apex predators, and we just entered their hunting ground." The Cathora colony ship was safe. The refugees would reach their new home. The galaxy had learned that humans were not just another species to be exploited. Captain Morrison looked at the debris field that had once been a pirate fleet. "Sarah, send a message to the Council. Tell them the Shadowclaw Syndicate is no longer a threat in this sector." "What about the other pirate organizations?" Johnson asked. Morrison smiled with the confidence of a predator who had just established his dominance. "They'll get the message. Word travels fast in the criminal underworld. They'll learn to avoid human patrol routes." The Retribution set course for its next assignment, leaving behind a system that was safe for the first time in decades. The age of piracy in the outer colonies was coming to an end, because the galaxy now had guardians who understood that sometimes peace could only be maintained through superior firepower. 6 months after the destruction of the Shadowclaw Syndicate, the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have imagined. Ambassador Daniel Clark stood at the window of the first human embassy on Serenity Prime, watching alien children play in the gardens below. For the first time in decades, it played without fear. The embassy building itself was a marvel that had shocked the peaceful aliens. Where their structures were built for beauty and comfort, the human embassy was built to survive. Its walls could withstand earthquakes, storms, and attacks. Its systems could function independently for months. It was designed by beings who had learned never to take safety for granted. "Ambassador," said his assistant, Lieutenant Colonel Rachel Stone. "Council Leader Thymus is here for the monthly security briefing." Clark nodded. The monthly meetings had become routine, but they still amazed him. 6 months ago, the Galactic Council had never discussed military matters. Now they planned defense strategies and patrol routes with the same care they once used for trade agreements. Thymos entered the embassy's conference room, his crystal body glowing with what humans had learned to recognize as contentment. The ancient Zentari had seen his people live in peace for 3,000 years, but only in the past 6 months had that peace felt truly secure. Ambassador Clark Thymus said in his musical voice, "I have the latest reports from our outer colonies. Pirate attacks have dropped by 90%. The few criminal organizations that remain active avoid any system where human patrols might be present." Clark smiled. "The Retribution and her sister ships have been busy." Captain Morrison reports that most pirate groups flee the moment they detect human vessels. "The ones that don't flee?" Thymos asked. "They don't survive to make the same mistake twice." Clark replied simply. The transformation of the galaxy's security situation had been swift and brutal. Criminal organizations that had operated with impunity for decades had been crushed within months. The survivors had learned that humans fought with a ruthlessness that peaceful species couldn't understand or match. "There is something else," Thymus continued. "Dr. Anna Martinez and her medical team have revolutionized our healthcare systems." The concept of emergency medicine was unknown to us before humans arrived. Clark nodded. Dr. Martinez had been horrified to learn that most alien species had no experience with trauma surgery or emergency treatment. On worlds where violence was unknown, there had been no need to develop ways to treat severe injuries quickly. She's training doctors from 12 different species, Clark said. They're learning to treat injuries that their people have never seen before. Car accidents, falls, industrial accidents, sports injuries, all the things that humans consider normal. Normal, Thymos repeated thoughtfully. Your species has such a different perspective on what is normal. Dr. Martinez's medical centers were now found throughout the galaxy, teaching alien doctors skills that humans took for granted. The concept of an emergency room, where medical teams worked frantically to save lives, had been revolutionary to species that had never experienced urgent medical situations. Speaking of normal, Clark said, how are the joint military exercises? Progressing. Thymos's crystal form dimmed slightly. They are ... educational. Admiral Tony Phillips has been very patient with our security forces, but the differences in our approaches are significant. The joint exercises had been both necessary and revealing. The galaxy's security forces had been designed to help with natural disasters and minor disputes. They had never been trained to fight, and their equipment reflected that peaceful purpose. Admiral Phillips says your people are quick learners, Clark assured him. They just need to develop new instincts. New instincts? Thymos repeated. That is the challenge, isn't it? We have 3,000 years of peaceful instincts to overcome. The first joint exercise had been intended as a simple patrol simulation. 2 human ships and 5 alien vessels had been practicing basic formation flying when real pirates had attacked a nearby merchant convoy. The exercise had instantly become a real battle, and the aliens had learned what human military doctrine looked like in action. The pirates made a mistake, Clark said. They thought they were attacking a training exercise with mostly alien ships. They didn't expect Admiral Phillips to turn a defensive patrol into a hunter-killer mission. The battle had lasted less than an hour. The human ships had used the alien vessels as mobile sensor platforms while they systematically destroyed the entire pirate fleet. The aliens had watched in amazement as human crews worked with deadly efficiency to eliminate every threat. Your people fight like a single organism, Thymos observed. Each ship knows what the others will do before they do it. We've been fighting together for a long time, Clark replied. We've learned to coordinate our efforts. The success of the joint exercises had led to the establishment of the Galactic Defense Force, combined military organization with human commanders and alien support staff. The aliens provided sensor technology, communications equipment, and logistical support. The humans provided the weapons, tactics, and willingness to use force when necessary. There is one more thing, Thymos said. Captain Nicole Foster of the exploration vessel Horizon has made contact with 3 new species in the Outer Rim. They are requesting protection from local criminal organizations. Clark wasn't surprised. News of the galaxy's new protectors had spread quickly. Species that had been hiding from pirates and raiders for generations were now reaching out for help. Captain Foster is good at first contact situations, Clark said. She has a talent for explaining human intentions without frightening new species. We'll need that talent, Thymos agreed. These new species have been terrorized for decades. They are suspicious of anyone offering help. Captain Foster had become the galaxy's premier first contact specialist. Her ship, the Horizon, was designed for exploration and diplomacy rather than combat. But like all human vessels, it was well-armed and ready to fight if peaceful contact failed. The galaxy is larger than we thought, Clark continued. There are probably dozens of species out there who need protection but are too afraid to ask for it. Humans will protect them, Thymos asked. Of course, Clark replied. That's what we do. We protect those who can't protect themselves. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from the council chambers. Representative Quindell's voice came through the embassy's communication system. Ambassador Clark, we have a situation. A large fleet of unknown vessels has entered our space. They are demanding tribute from our core worlds. Clark and Thymos exchanged glances. This was the first time anyone had been bold enough to threaten the Council's home systems since humans had arrived. How large a fleet? Clark asked. Over 100 ships, Quindel replied. They claim to be the Red Claw Empire. They say they have conquered dozens of star systems and demand our immediate surrender. Clark activated his communication system, his ambassador Clark to all human vessels in the sector. We have a code red situation. Unknown hostiles are threatening Council space. The response was immediate. Captain Morrison's voice came through clearly, retribution acknowledging. We are 2 hours out. Defender responding came Admiral Hayes's voice. For hours to intercept. Horizon reporting, added Captain Foster. 3 hours to arrival. Within minutes, every human ship in the sector was converging on Serenity Prime. The Red Claw Empire was about to learn what had happened to every other criminal organization that had threatened the galaxy's peaceful species. Thymos watched the tactical display as human ships appeared on sensors throughout the system. They came quickly. They always do, Clark replied. When someone threatens our friends, we respond. The leader of the Red Claw Empire, being called War Master Krex, had spent years building his criminal empire, had conquered weak species and enslaved entire worlds. The peaceful Galactic Council seemed like easy prey, but when his sensors detected the approaching human fleet, Krex began to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. The small human ships moved with purpose and coordination that his disorganized fleet couldn't match. This is Captain Morrison, of the human vessel Retribution, came the communication. You have threatened our allies. You have 10 minutes to leave this system or be destroyed. Krex's response was predictable. You are outnumbered 10-1 human. Surrender now, and we will show mercy. We don't surrender, Morrison replied. And we don't show mercy to those who threaten innocence. The battle that followed became known as the Battle of Serenity Prime. It lasted exactly 18 minutes. When it was over, the Red Claw Empire no longer existed. The few survivors fled to the darkest corners of the galaxy, spreading the word that humans were not to be challenged. Thymos watched the debris field that had once been a 100-ship fleet. Is this what peace looks like in human terms? No, Clark replied. This is what happens when someone threatens our peace. Real peace comes after this, when everyone understands that we will fight to protect what matters. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humans had come not as conquerors, but as protectors. They had brought with them the strength that came from surviving on a world that tried to kill them every day. They had shown that sometimes the best way to preserve peace was to be ready for war.